Hi everybody, this is Nikki again, and I'm here to do another video that is my personal experience and my personal opinion. Absolutely nothing to be used as medical advice. Pretty easy for this one because there's really nothing medical in it whatsoever. This one is just some ideas for Medtronic to consider as they gather their stuff up for the next 670G upgrade. From what I understand, they're in the process of doing that. That might be wrong information, but it sounds like they are listening to complaints, they are listening to what the people are saying, and they're trying to figure out what they can do and what they can't do. And from what I understand, some really big issues do require clinical trials, and I don't think that they're doing those for an upgrade. However, it sounds like they are trying to take into consideration some of what people are giving back to them, and they're trying to figure out a few improvements they can make for that upgrade. So I would like to be heard because I do want my pump to work well for me. I would love auto mode to work well for me. It does not at the time, right now or in the last 8 months. But I have some ideas for maybe, some ways that it could be a little bit better. Basically, it's all going to boil down to the communication. My pump's ability to communicate with me what it's doing. And I think that that really is where I just get frustrated with it because I feel like auto mode does not deliver enough insulin to me. That part, and I understand that part you can't fix without going through clinical trials. But auto mode and my 670G also just doesn't communicate to me whether or not I've gotten insulin. And maybe that part can be included in an upgrade. So I brought my notes because of course I did. All right, so I'll part read, part talk. You'll part fall asleep, and then that's that. Okay, so there are some huge problems with this pump for me. I'm just gonna put that one out there right now. Huge problems, and problems that require huge fixes that probably also require clinical trial, like that'll be the clinical trial category. However, I don't think it means they can't be addressed and possibly hit upon from a different angle. The big one for me, the elephant, is the overall reduction of insulin in auto mode. I know you all have your reasons, and I know it actually works for some people, so please do not take offense to this if you love auto mode. But I want to love auto mode, and I did try to love auto mode, but this one I kept running into. Auto mode just withholds this insulin, and I need my insulin. So, and there's a lot of me out there. There's a lot of people who are just like me, and they need that insulin, or they need to know they're not getting that insulin. In fact, when we're not getting this insulin, it hurts us. Let's see. There are a lot of people who really need more insulin than what auto mode is putting out. I understand this crosses over into the design of the pump, and that's not an easy fix, but there might be ways to give a little power back to the user and take a little of that power out of auto mode's hands. This brings me to my number one suggestion, and this is that better communication. If my insulin pump is going to withhold insulin from me, I just need to know. I can't afford to be sitting at 45 minutes, an hour and a half, 2.5 hours without insulin and not know it. In auto mode, as long as it bails out of minimum delivery before that 2.5 hours, so if it bails out of delivery, minimum delivery at 2 hours and 25 minutes, then I don't ever have to hear about it. And I think that that for me is a really big problem. I do need to know if I've gone 2 hours and 25 minutes without insulin. It can deliver nothing for 2 hours and 25 minutes and not give me so much as a good-spirited heads up. So I'm going on about my merry way. When I start to see that climb, maybe I've eaten something, I blame that. Maybe my infusion set is, loose, my cannula, I smell my shirt because I do that for insulin or for the chemical, whatever it is, whatever that smell is, I smell it, I'd like to not have to do that in public. And it would be so nice to have, and I'm going to say it, but another alert that tells me I'm not getting insulin. Not that I have something blocked, but just that I've been 30 minutes without getting insulin. That's it. It's a simple little thing. It doesn't require a BG. It doesn't require anything. It's just it's a courtesy. a new alert. I know some people are throwing their viewing thing at the, whatever, a new alert, but okay, you're not getting insulin alert. And you haven't for hours. I would love that alert. If auto mode could give me a heads up 30 minutes in and at 30-minute intervals, then I'm in the know. I'm not getting blindsided and I'm not getting sick. That's a big part of my frustration with auto mode, is if I'm gonna get that sick, I'm gonna do it with a brownie or 8. And not just from not knowing, because I could have done something different. In this category, about the level of communication that occurs surrounding the amount of insulin delivered or not, is the user's ability to track what exactly has been delivered. So my first suggestion is, for your consideration, some kind of alert to let the user know in auto mode, you've been 30 minutes without insulin, you've been another 30 minutes without insulin. It's just to, and it sounds different, right? Maybe something that sounds different. What was I going to say? The next one has to do with being able to track what exactly has been delivered. And I'm thinking something more than the presence of pink dots. Not just pink dots. The pink dots are actually very, very deceiving, and which is odd because they are pink dots. But I can't show you my graph screen now. I haven't been in auto mode in months, basically, with the exception of a few times in for an experiment. But I can show you, I could have shown you a number of times, any number of times, where I had a graph screen full of a solid pink string of pearl microboluses all the way across, giving the appearance of a steady and complete, delivery of insulin. I mean, if I look at that and I have a BG of a 300 or 350, and I don't know to look at each individual one, my gut is, well, I've gotten plenty of insulin. That's not the problem. But I have learned to go back and scroll across every one of those pink dots and add them up. And the thing that people need to understand is that if a pink dot can represent 0.025 units of insulin or 0.5 units of insulin, and there's no way to discriminate between one and another or differentiate, then it means that if you got 12 microboluses at 0.025 units, all pink dots across your graph screen, you've received 0.3 units of insulin. Well, for me, that is a 75% reduction in my daily hourly rate. I'm at a 25% temp basal, and sometimes that's not for 1 hour, that's for 3 hours or 6 hours or something insane, and sometimes it's riddled with pockets of minimum delivery. And when I add them all up, I've been at 6 hours of 19% of my insulin. I need to know this, and I could know it. That's the way I feel. If you have an alert, that's one thing. And then if I have a way to go into my history menu where I can check on my iSigs, which I do, and I can check on my alarms, and I can check on my summaries, and I can check on, all of these things, I could also swing by while I'm in there and see how much insulin I received. It's an important bit of information for us to maintain good blood sugar control. So my idea there was a history menu, total hourly auto rate, auto basal rate. You guys don't call it basal, hourly delivery rate. I don't know, call it, the pink dot rate. That's a bad joke, but okay. My point is, it would be nice to have that information. Currently, we have it for 24 hours. You got 24 hours to check your screen and to do your detective work to figure out what's gone on. After 24 hours, it's like poof, it's gone. You can't look it up on CareLink. You cannot go back and scroll across and see what those sizes were. You can see by the line approximately what they were. That sometimes you got more, sometimes you got less. But there is no way, 24 hours and it's gone. And we're talking about insulin delivery. And it's a critical bit of information. And I think that we should have easier access to what we've been delivered, and we should be communicated with better when we haven't gotten any. Okay. Here's another one. Oh my God, 9.5 minutes in. Here's another one. And this one actually seemed to have been an idea of yours at one point, but just didn't make the cut. It appeared in one of your pre-market documents that Medtronic had planned on including a setting where the user could determine the minimum delivery limit. I love this. I would love it even more if it could be set the way we do our basals, maybe allowing for a longer limit overnight, but really cutting it short during the daytime hours. I would love that. So I say in the daytime, I'm willing to sit through 30 minutes of minimum delivery, and overnight, I'm willing to sit for an hour. But I have a little bit more control again, and auto mode has a little bit less. So that's another, so that's 3. I don't know if you've actually been able to make any sense of these. Here's another easy one. A tone to remind you to hit calibrate. That would be great. I feel like 6 times a week, that's what I do. I pick up my pump, I pick up my meter, I do all the work, and I put it all in there, and I clip it back on, and I tend to a child, or whatever I'm doing, and then an hour and a half later, I'm told it's time to calibrate, and I'm like, oh, and I realize I forgot to hit calibrate. Old pumps used to have this. It just dinged, to let you know that you missed something, and we do still currently have a ding when we miss a food bolus. If you don't hit deliver, then which is a great, it's a great ding, but it would be nice to have one just saying, hey, you missed calibrate, and go back and do it now so you don't have to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just thoughts, helpful thoughts. The last one is manual mode, getting kicked back into manual mode settings. Okay, so interesting design, but if I've been in minimum delivery for that maximum amount of time, 2.5 hours, and I've hit my limit, and I'm asleep or passed out, I just gotta say, if I'm asleep or passed out, and I do not give it the BG that it requires to remain in auto mode, I get kicked into safe basal. Fair enough, for 90 minutes. However, if I continue to be asleep or passed out, and I don't give it then I'm deposited back into manual mode with full insulin, no suspends. I have to actively I have to manually put on those suspends. It's an interesting design, and I am queen of sleeping through everything, and so it's just interesting for me to see that I have been so low that I required 2.5 hours of minimum delivery. I did start to get more insulin in safe basal, which is also an interesting thing, but not in this video. But here I am at 4 hours in, and my blood sugar is still a 60 or something, and now I'm getting hit by a full manual mode delivery. Could you possibly put in a setting somewhere that you just say, yes, when I'm deposited back into manual mode, go ahead and put those suspends on, or no, I don't want them. 12.5 minutes of good quality stuff. Medtronic, I really like you. I've been with you for 11 years. I would just like it if maybe we could learn some of this better. That's my child. Thanks. Bye.